On Global TV News Prime, President Tinubu unveils Climate Resilient Livelihoods Empowerment Program for displaced populations. In business, federal government to reclaim cocoa sovereignty. On the foreign scene, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer described death of American federal agent in Minneapolis as concerning. And in sports, Nigeria Boxing Federation unveils its program for 2026. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Mukhtar Kasim. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and on StarTimes channel 276. And now the news in details. President Bola Tinubu has unveiled the Climate Resilience Livelihood Empowerment Program for displaced populations, the 10-year, $250 million initiative designed to restore livelihoods and empower Nigerians displaced by climate-related disasters. The president announced this in his opening address at a special event on climate-induced mobility held under Nigeria's chairmanship of the Rabat process, which brought together global leaders and development partners to examine the link between climate change, migration, security, and development. A statement by the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Yomi Odunuga, said President Tinubu, who was represented by Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, stated that the initiative will focus on empowering displaced persons through climate-smart agriculture, renewable energy, entrepreneurship, climate data, and digital empowerment, green value chains, as well as dedicated leadership tracks for women and youth. The House of Representatives has fixed January 29th for debate on the 2026 Appropriation Bill, following its presentation by President Bola Tinubu last December. Lawmakers also considered motions on rising cost of femicide and a violent incident in Abia State during plenary. Our National Assembly correspondent Anita Patrick reports.
The bill seeks approval. The House of Representatives is set to begin debate on the 2026 Appropriation Bill after the proposal was read for the first time on Friday, December 19, 2025. The bill seeks approval for the withdrawal of 58,472 billion naira from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2026. A breakdown of the estimates shows 4.09 trillion naira for statutory transfers, 15.9 trillion naira for debt servicing, 15.25 trillion naira for recurrent non-debt expenditure, while over 23 trillion naira is proposed for capital expenditure.
15,909,361,631,657 naira only is for debt services.
The House subsequently approved the bill for second reading, clearing the way for full debate on January 29th.
The budget, we need to see how far they have progressed. All right, thank you.
During plenary, Awaji Nobenk Abiante raised a personal explanation, drawing attention to the growing cases of femicide across the country, and called for urgent legislative and institutional action to protect women and girls.
Push beyond where you are so that we can have these bills passed for the benefit of Nigerians.
Lawmakers also considered a motion of urgent public importance sponsored by Ibe Osonwa following a violent incident in Okunaku, Ohafia community, Abia State, where lives were reportedly lost and properties destroyed. The House expressed concern over the recurring violence and urged the Inspector General of Police and other security agencies to investigate the incident and ensure the arrest and prosecution of those responsible.
2. 1. Urge the Inspector General of Police and other relevant security agencies to immediately investigate the incident, identify the perpetrators, and ensure that justice is brought to the community.
Meanwhile, the House received letters from the President to approve a bill seeking to amend the Court of Appeal Act to increase the number of justices from 70 to 110 as part of reforms aimed at strengthening Nigeria's appellate justice system. From the National Assembly, Aniete Patrick reporting for Global TV News.
Meanwhile, the Senate has deferred deliberation on the much-anticipated report of its Committee on Electoral Matters following the absence of the committee's chairman, Senator Simon Bako Lalong, Plateau South. Anita Patrick has details.
The Red Chamber had listed the presentation and clause-by-clause consideration of the report on the order paper. Senate leader Opeyemi Bamidele formally invited Senator Lalong to lay the report, after which debate was expected to commence. However, proceedings stalled when the committee chairman was not present to present the document. The development sparked a brief exchange among senators before a motion was moved to step down the item.
That will stand down this bill for consideration on the next legislative day, but it's important that distinguished colleagues are allowed to go home with copies, and that we also have a brief closed-door session before we resume plenary.
Corroborating the Senate leader's position, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, announced the postponement of both the presentation and detailed consideration of the report until the next legislative day.
This is a very important bill, considering the fact that we are about to go into elections. So if we rush it, we regret at the tribunal. So if we get it right, then all Nigerians will smile.
However, the Senate is currently working on the Electoral Act Amendments Bill 2025 aimed at reforming aspects of the 2022 Electoral Act ahead of the 2027 general elections. The proposed amendments are expected to address operational gaps and strengthen transparency in the electoral process. Although the House of Representatives passed its version of the amendment bill in December 2025, the Senate's delay in concluding work on the report has drawn attention, as the upper chamber must harmonize its position before the legislation can proceed further. From the National Assembly, Aniete Patrick reporting for Global TV News.
Still talking legislative matters, the Senate has moved to discuss in a closed-door session an alleged breach of Nigeria's territorial integrity linked to a December United States military strike on Nigerian soil, raising concerns about constitutional procedure and national security oversight. Uyi Agbomofuegbe has the details.
The issue was spotlighted on the floor of the Senate on Wednesday through a point of order by Senator Abdul Ningi, PDP Bauchi Central, who spoke under matters of privilege. Senator Ningi criticized what he described as the audacity of a United States airstrike reportedly carried out in Sokoto State on Christmas Day, arguing that Nigerian senators were not briefed on the operation, despite its occurrence within the country's borders.
Continue to say that the National Assembly, that is vested with these powers under Part 4, and will remain mum. Mr. President, this Assembly has a core responsibility in governance, and therefore, for every action intended, the leadership of the National Assembly must be taken along.
In response, Senate President Godswill Akpabio acknowledged the gravity of the concern, but stressed that matters of national security are not suitable for open debates in the chamber.
Because it's a matter of security, we really should not discuss it in the open. We should have a closed session so that you will be well briefed.
With the Senate set to deliberate behind closed doors, it is expected that the outcome of the session will determine the next line of action to safeguard Nigeria's sovereignty while reinforcing constitutional oversight on all security operations carried out within the country. Uyi Agbomofuegbe reporting for Global TV News.
Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma has inaugurated a fact-finding and implementation committee to coordinate the rehabilitation of communities affected by insecurity in Okigwe axis. The committees cover Okigwe, Onimo, and Ehimi Mbano local government areas. Our correspondent, Amarachi Ibe, reports.
Addressing members of the committee, the Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma explains that with security now largely restored in the area, the priority of his administration is recovery, reconstruction, and the resettlement of displaced residents. He knows that the committee is to visit affected communities, assess the level of damage, verify claims, and recommend practical steps for a comprehensive government-led rehabilitation program.
Go in there, come up with a preliminary investigation, recommend how we must begin immediately to review the schools in those areas, the hospitals in those areas, and public infrastructure.
The governor urges community leaders and residents to cooperate fully with the committee by providing accurate and timely information, and assures that his administration remains committed to protecting lives and properties across the state.
I charge you, the committee, to make the truth to be your only compass. The people are waiting. As much as there are bad people in those areas, there are also good people. Identify the good people, some other victims who are not able to go back to their homes, and see how we can support them to go back to their homes.
Responding on behalf of the committee, the chairman of the committee, Samuel Uche Kanu, commended the governor for what he describes as a timely intervention and assures that the committee will carry out its assignment with fairness, transparency, and a strong sense of responsibility.
And I want to assure you that knowing the people you have appointed to work with me, we are going to work in tandem to deliver results. And we are going to give you unbiased results.
Stakeholders at the event expressed optimism that the initiative will accelerate the return of normal life and economic activities in the area. From Owerri, Amarachi Ibe reporting for Global TV News.
The federal government has warned contractors handling the Sokoto-Gusau-Funtua Zaria Road project to speed up or face sanction. The warning came as the Minister of State for Works, Bello Muhammad Goronyo, carried out an on-the-spot inspection of the sections of the highway across 4 states. Kabir Hassan reports.
The inspection covered major sections of the 750-kilometer Sokoto-Gusau-Funtua Zaria highway cutting across Sokoto, Zamfara, Katsina, and Kaduna states, from Dange to Shuni in Sokoto state and onward through Talata, Marafa, Maru, and Bungudu in Zamfara state. The Minister of State for Works, Bello Muhammad Gorenyo, assessed the level of works and compliance with approved specifications. Addressing journalists, the minister said the inspection was in line with the directive of the President, Bola Tinubu, to ensure quality delivery, value for money, and timely completion of critical road projects.
We should concentrate on phase 1, that is kilometer 37, all the way to kilometer 0 in Gusau. Then the remaining 2 sections, both lengths, since it's 12 carriage way, both lengths, with the bridges. For the remaining kilometer 37 to the end, that is kilometer 105.
Goronyo expressed concern over slow pace of work on some sections of the project, stressing that contractors must accelerate efforts to reduce hardship faced by road users. He noted that while Sokoto Talata Marafa section has recorded about 27% completion, progress on the Marafa Marus Gusau section at about 16% remains unsatisfactory.
If you look at the completion, the percentage of your completion, it's not up to 16% since 2023 when this job was awarded. And we recall that mobilize your equipment to do some other jobs. Maybe it's very
The minister warned that federal government will not hesitate to restructure the project while limiting underperforming contractors to shorter sections or relocating parts of the road to more competent firms. He also disclosed that earlier challenges related to compensation for affected properties have been resolved with support from the Sokoto state government, while improved security along the corridor has enhanced safety for workers and equipment. Goronyo further explained that adoption of concrete pavement technology under Tinubu's administration is aimed at delivering more durable and long-lasting road infrastructures nationwide. The minister, who represented the Honorable Minister of State, David Umahi, was accompanied by top officials of the ministry during the inspection. He assured host communities that outstanding concerns will be addressed to ensure smooth execution of the project. Kabir Hassan, Global TV News.
The Jigawa State Pilgrims Welfare Board has commenced the medical screening for intending pilgrims as preparations intensify for the 2026 Hajj exercise. This development comes as preparations speed up for intending pilgrims for the 2026 exercise, which is expected to attract millions of pilgrims from across the globe. Speaking during the inauguration of the screening at the Hadejia General Hospital, the director of the General Hospital Board, Omar Labbo, said the exercise is crucial to ensuring health and safety of all pilgrims from the state. Pet keeping is gradually becoming a common lifestyle choice among Nigerians, especially in urban centers. Beyond security, pets are now valued for companionship, emotional support, and family bonding. However, experts warn that keeping pets comes with responsibilities that must not be ignored. Ubong Usoro reports.
In recent years, there has been a noticeable increase in the number of household keeping pets, such as dogs, cats, birds, and rabbits. From gated estates to densely populated neighborhoods, pets are no longer kept solely as guard animals, but are increasingly treated as members of the family. Lifestyle changes, urbanization, security concerns, and exposure to global culture through social media have all contributed to the rising interest in pet ownership across the country.
I feel like pets are like one of the most loyal animals you can have. Yes, they are companions to humans as well. So keeping pets is... And they're also funny animals, especially cats. I know most people...
While pet ownership continues to grow, veterinary experts stress that proper care is essential to ensure the health of the animal and the safety of the public. The Chief Veterinary Officer of Nigeria, Dr. Musa Inuwa, says pet keeping is beneficial to the country, but decries the rise of fake veterinary practices, noting that proper animal care and awareness remains very low across the country.
I love pets. I have a cat. Yes, his name is Pilu. Yes, I have a cat. I love my cat very much. Like, you know, there is this connection between humans and animals. Yes. Like when my cat is sick, I fall sick.
It's not just peculiar to the veterinary profession. It's in the whole gamut, whether it is in medical field and other fields. But again, it's how to be able to really minimize it. And it is not one single person or organization. It involves, like I said, the federal.
For pet owners and intending owners, proper care remains the key to a healthy pet and safer society. Ubong Usoro for Global Television.
You're watching the live broadcast of News Prime. News Prime continues after this weather forecast, plus business, foreign, and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Glad to have you join us. A drop in horizontal visibility have been observed over most parts of the northern region. Further reduction is expected within the next 24 hours as another dust plume has been lifted over the source region as indicated by the satellite imagery. This is likely to reduce visibility across the north and the north-central regions, resulting in moderate dust haze. Thick dust haze is expected over Borno, Yobe, Jigawa, Kano, Katsina, and parts of Bauchi State. Over the southern parts of the country, patches of cloud are anticipated, with prospect of isolated thunderstorms in parts of Lagos, Ogun, Delta, Bayelsa, and Rivers State. A slight drop in temperature is also expected due to dust particles in suspension. And that's where we conclude the weather forecast. I'm Sefia Sayunusa. Stay informed and stay safe.
In business news, the House of Representatives has intensified its probe into the agricultural subsidies and intervention fund by the federal government, summoning key government agencies over alleged gaps in accountability spanning a 10-year period. National Assembly correspondent Anita Patrick reports.
The House Ad Hoc Committee investigating agricultural subsidies, intervention funds, aids and grants has summoned the Auditor General of the Federation, the Ministers of Finance and Agriculture, the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission over the utilization of funds released for agricultural programs between 2015 and 2025. The summons followed what lawmakers described as incomplete documentation and weak accountability records presented at a public hearing at the National Assembly. Chairman of the committee, Jamo Aminu, expressed dissatisfaction with the failure of the Office of the Auditor General to submit comprehensive audit reports on several agricultural subsidy and intervention schemes.
There is no figures from your side. You have not indicated any figure here stating that you've investigated or your attention was brought on ABCD, on embezzlement or whatever, on social amount.
Responding, a deputy director from the Office of the Auditor General, Mohammed Adamu, told the committee that delays in producing the audit reports were due to the non-availability of critical documents from the Federal Ministry of Agriculture.
And in their financial statement, I'm not sure whether they have submitted their financial statement to my office, but it is another department that is in charge of that. When I get to the office, I will go and confirm if they have submitted the account for this year to our audit.
Representatives of the Central Bank of Nigeria and the EFCC also appeared before the panel. While the committee commended the Central Bank of Nigeria for its level of cooperation, it said further scrutiny would continue. The EFCC disclosed that investigations into several agricultural fund-related cases are ongoing.
So it's going to have multiple dates, and because we want to give you a data that will be not smaller, but a compressed data that will show you what you really want. Because under Access, we can have 20, 30, or even 40 rows.
Following the hearing, the committee directed the Auditor General as well as the Ministers of Agriculture and Finance to appear before it on February 3rd. Lawmakers warned that failure to comply would attract legislative sanctions in line with the powers of the National Assembly. From the National Assembly, Anita Patrick reporting for Global TV News.
The federal government has reiterated its commitment to restoring Nigeria's position as the leading global cocoa producer to drive job creation, economic growth and food security. The pledge was made by the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, at the International Cocoa and Chocolate Forum held in London. The minister disclosed that Nigeria is strengthening trade ties under the African Continental Free Trade Area to boost competitiveness, regulatory compliance, and climate-smart cocoa production while promoting youth inclusion. He added that the ongoing AFCFTA implementation and engagement with global partners are expected to significantly increase intra-African trade and deepen economic activities. Senator Kyari described the forum as a critical platform for partners to revitalize the cocoa industry as the event concluded with the presentation of a special award to the minister for his role in transforming Nigeria's cocoa sector. EU lawmakers demanded artificial intelligence providers to pay their use copyrighted European content as they called for expanded rules to apply to generative AI. In a report by the European Parliament Legal Affairs Committee, lawmakers demanded full transparency about content, what AI content is used for, to generate AI systems and fair remuneration for creators. They also called for the new media industry to have total control over the use of its content for training AI systems, including the right of refusal. Their call comes ahead of a review of the EU's copyright rules this summer. United States has started unblocking Venezuela's funds that were frozen under sanctions, the South American country's interim president said in the latest sign of a rapprochement between long-term foes. Caracas had been under United States sanction, including an oil embargo since 2019, following Nicolas Maduro's first disputed claim to re-election the previous year. During his first term, United States President Donald Trump also froze Venezuela's funds in international accounts, which Maduro estimated in 2022 amounted to some $30 billion. And now to the foreign scene. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has described the death of an American man at the hands of a federal agent in Minneapolis as concerning. Alex Pretty, a 37-year-old nurse, was shot and killed by United States immigration officers during a protest. Several videos show officers opening fire on him while he was grounded. The shooting sparked bipartisan condemnation in the United States and protests in Minneapolis, capping months of escalating violence in which masked, unidentified and heavily armed immigration and customs enforcement ICE and Border Patrol agents have grabbed people suspected of violating immigration laws off the streets. In the meantime, United States President Donald Trump has threatened to withdraw the United States support from Iraq if former Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki is reinstated to the post. According to Trump, if the United States are not there to help, Iraq has zero chance of success, prosperity or freedom. Iraq's parliament was supposed to elect a new president who would then nominate the Prime Minister. However, the election of the president was postponed due to disagreement over the candidate. And now talking sports, where as part of proactive efforts to put Nigeria boxing on a progressive trajectory in the new sporting calendar, the Nigeria Boxing Federation has unveiled its program of activities for 2026. This was contained in a well-structured document developed by the NPF Technical Committee and signed by the body's Secretary General Vivian Azimene. The document captured a national coaches workshop in the North Central Zone in January, an international friendly match with Rwanda and Madagascar in February, before the national open trial for the boxers ahead of the forthcoming Glasgow Games. Also in February is the second phase of the national coaches workshop in the Southeast. President of the Confederation of African Football Referee Committee, Oliver Safari, has suggested that the governing body may review regulations surrounding the use of towels by goalkeepers following the controversy that erupted during the recent African Cup of Nations in Morocco. The issue first surfaced during Nigeria's semi-finals clash against host Morocco, when the Super Eagles goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali was repeatedly distracted by stadium officials who interfered with his towels, a scene that quickly went viral on social media. Finally, in sports, Galatasaray striker Victor Osimhen headlines the list of Nigerian stars facing critical battles to salvage their club's UEFA Champions League campaigns as the group phase concludes today. Osimhen and Galatasaray are at a risk of elimination from the Europe's elite club competition and must avoid a heavy defeat to stand a chance of progressing to the playoffs. However, the Turkish champions face a daunting final away fixture to Manchester City, who also require a win to secure a top-flight finish. As Global TV News Prime comes to an end, let's take a look at our top stories. President Bola Tinubu has unveiled the Climate Resilience Livelihood Empowerment Program for displaced populations, the 10-year-old 250 million initiative designed to restore livelihoods and empower Nigerians displaced in climate disasters. In business, the federal government has reiterated its commitment to restoring Nigeria's position as a leading global cocoa producer. On the foreign scene, you heard that British Prime Minister Keir Starmer described the death of an American man at the hands of federal police in Minneapolis as concerning. And in sports, we brought you that as part of proactive efforts to put Nigerian boxing on a progressive trajectory, the Nigerian Boxing Federation has unveiled its program of activities for 2026. That's it on News Prime. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and on StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all our social media platforms, now showing on your screen, using our Global TV NG. I am Mukhtar Kasim. See you in a very big time.